Happy
Good
Tips and
morning.
Tea
Good morning.
Tuesday.
Happy Tips and Tea Tuesday, Queen. I am sorry, I'm having technical difficulties over here, but we gonna make it work.
What you say?
I said I'm having technical difficulties over here this morning, but we gonna make it work. I was trying to drop everything, and I was logged out of GroupMe for some reason.
Oh, yeah, I can drop it in the chat. Or did you already do it?
I'm in the process of doing it now.
Okay.
Good
Okay.
morning, everybody. Welcome in, welcome in.
Yes. Good morning. How was your evening? How was your night?
It was okay. I cannot complain. Got some things done that I've been needing to do, so that was a win. How was yours?
It was good. It was good. I went to bed early.
That's always a win, honey. Now,
I was out for the count. I don't even think I made it to 8:30. I was already asleep.
really?
Mm-hmm. It was super early. During the question, I was back up at 1 in the morning.
Oh, not 1 in the morning.
I
Really?
I can't go to if I go to sleep before 10 o'clock, I'm up in the middle of the night. I have to wait till after 10, but sleep caught me. I didn't even know I was running from it, but it caught me early. I had so much of a fight, I'll tell you that.
Fighting for your life, Lord. Hey, I feel you because I'm there. I cannot wait for this day to be through so I can catch some sleep. Yes. Sleep is a good thing. It's a wonderful thing.
Hmm. Definitely underrated. Good morning, Mr. Shabazz. Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome in, everybody.
Yes, yes. Well, I
We
think because we're gonna be a little short on time today, we should probably just go ahead and jump right into it.
Sure, sure. No worries. Well, good morning, everyone. Beautiful people. We definitely appreciate you tuning in with us this morning. Welcome to another episode of Tips and Tea Live. If this is your first time tuning in or joining us, welcome in. Welcome to a space where we have real conversations, real growth. Here at Tips and Tea Live, we discuss life matters, healing, mindset, finances, relationships, purpose, wellness, and all the things in between, because healing and elevation happen when we grow together. So, do us a favor before we get started this morning. Go ahead and like and share and tag a friend. And if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please go ahead and subscribe to Tips and Tea Live on YouTube and turn those notifications on because you do not want to miss these conversations or this tea. And audience this morning, let's check in with you guys. How are you feeling this morning? How are you feeling about this week? One word, drop it in the comments. And while we're waiting for you guys to do that, I'm going to pass it over to my wonderful and amazing co-host, Miss Chantella Shabazz, so she can give us a recap from last week.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you everybody again for tuning in, and thank you to my amazing co-host, Mr. Teacher Booker, because we rocking out on another Tuesday. I was that pillow had had me hostage this morning. I was kidnapped. I was like, well, C might have to just go ahead.
You was
And
held
do
hostage.
she got it. She don't need me there. You know, we got an amazing special guest coming on. She was here last year and is giving us the pleasure of coming on the live again this morning. But last week we actually had a part of our anniversary special, and all this week we're going to be celebrating because our anniversary for Tips and Tea Live is actually coming up this Thursday. So I'm
Mhm.
super excited about it. We're going to be dropping some old clips, some funny moments, some behind the scenes. So just check out our YouTube and our Facebook lives. You know, you'll see some clips from over the years from us because I can't believe it's been 2 years. See,
I know. I
where did the
know.
time?
It doesn't seem like it's been that long, but it truly has. Time flies when you're having fun.
Mm-hmm. It definitely does. Well, over the years, we've definitely talked about growth. We talked about the lessons that we've learned. That's what we like to do here on Tips and Tea.
Mhm.
We go through our personal journeys and hopefully, the things that we've learned over the years, our audience can learn from mistakes we've made, some of our successes. Our audience chimes in. They share some tips that they learned along the way, and we've definitely laughed. Definitely laughs and some tears as well. So the conversations have definitely been beautiful, I would say. It's a big part of the community. So if you haven't had a chance to check out some of our previous lives, definitely feel free to check us out on our YouTube channel at Tips and Tea Live. There's a lot of education, some healing, some empowerment. I don't know. I think the list can just go on and on. See,
Yeah.
oh, of the things that we've talked about: finances, relationships. Red flags, green flags when it comes to money and relationships.
Right.
Right. Just different things. So I just want to again say thank you to those who support us for the last 2 years, and for the audience that's still yet to come because we still growing.
Yes. That is so true.
So true. Yes, yes. I don't know. We're gonna have to do like a special like tap in live on Thursday or something on our actual anniversary.
That would be cool. That would really be cool.
We should just come jump on real early in the morning, real quick, and say, "Hey, y'all, hey."
Hey, 2 years anniversary.
But yes, I will say that today's conversation is definitely going to hit home with so many people because we're jumping into survival habits and
Mhm.
maybe some not so good habits that we've been trying to shake loose over some time. I don't know. See, what do you think?
I mean, I think we've all been dealing with survival habits, different times in our lives, or know someone that has. This week's topic is unlearn the survival habits, healing mentally, emotionally, and financially. And many of us have learned survival habits before we learn how to heal. Sometimes survival will look like shutting down emotionally or cutting things off, avoiding conversations, avoiding checking your finances. Sometimes we stay in toxic environments too long. But at some point, we do have to ask ourselves, am I surviving or am I healing? And today we want to dive deep into that conversation and let's unpack that topic. We are definitely going to do that. We are going to do that with our special guest this morning. I'm super excited and stoked to introduce my sister, Dr. Jerica Wesley. We are truly honored to welcome her this morning. Dr. Jerica Wesley is a licensed professional counselor, educator, and owner of Restored Wellness Life Enrichment Services, LLC. For over a decade, she has served the Charleston, West Virginia community as a counselor, working within the school system, community mental health agencies, and higher education to increase wellness practices among children, adolescents, and adults. Jerica's journey to motherhood shifted her professional focus, leading her to a deeper study in grief, loss, bereavement, and traumas. She has expanded her clinical work to support grieving parents, navigating pregnancy loss, miscarriage, stillbirth, ectopic pregnancy, and infertility and abortion. In addition to supporting individuals through the reproductive loss, Jerica is passionate about creating opportunities to cultivate wellness and restore balance across occupational, physical, social, intellectual, and spiritual and emotional domains. She is also deeply committed to creating conversations around the mental health and combating stigma. So, especially within the Appalachian and African American communities here in West Virginia. And on a personal note, this guest is my sister. So let's give a nice and warm and amazing welcome to my baby sis, Dr. Jerica Wesley.
Hey, welcome in, Queen. Glad to have you.
Hey,
Good morning.
y'all.
Good morning.
It's so good to be here. Thank you guys again for allowing me to come hang out with the queens on Tips and Tea. I'm already 1 cup of coffee in. It's not tea, but I needed something a little stronger today.
I'm on coffee this morning too.
Y'all got
Hey.
y'all's coffee. I got my juice.
Juice is good too.
That it is. That it is.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you guys for the introduction. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Yes, I was just going to say, I just want to thank you again for being able to come on. So this is for those who are new to Tips and Tea Live. This is actually Jerica's second time on the live. First time for this year, because she came on last year during our 1 year run, as we like to call it, our opening year. So we just want to say thank you again for making some time to come on and just share again with the audience. I think today's topic is going to be some great things that we can kind of break into, and hopefully, people get a lot of tips and things that they can take from it today. But I wanted to jump back into, what made you want to go into this space and help people the way you do? Like, what was your why behind it?
Oh, such a great question. I think, and I've shared this with my nephew, C's son. He's always so curious and asks me these life-changing questions. And I shared with him I had originally wanted to be a nurse. I always knew that I had the desire to help people. And once I went to school, majored in nursing, and, you had to have a well-rounded education. They have you take all these electives and things like that. And I took some counseling classes, and it just felt right. And I just decided that I wanted to move into that lane. And after some things had happened in terms of my family building journey, I'm like, I'll go and I'll work in the schools. If I'm unable to have the type of family that I had imagined, I'll just have 300 kids every day. So it really was this space of nursing, then let's take a few counseling or psychology courses. And it just seems so, I don't know, congruent with who I am, that I decided that a lot of issues I think could be best handled if somebody had someone to connect with who was skilled. And I've just been trying to be that person.
Well, you are doing an awesome and amazing job, and we thank you for it, sis.
Absolutely. I got definitely some tips from the last time he was on. I was like, okay, can we borrow sis down here and come on down to Cancun? Because I'll be meeting some girls.
That's what I think that needs to be figured out. I'll maybe talk to a doctor and see if I can get like some kind of work or school excuse to go to Cancun indefinitely. So we'll get that worked out.
There's a whole community here. We got the Black Expat group right there in Playa del Carmen. Come on over.
Hey, it's nothing. I mean, I can try to catch a flight today, forget all these responsibilities, I'll get on down there.
There we go.
Just to forget all these responsibilities. I think that's right. Yes. Forget all the things today.
All the things.
But so many people go through life trying to survive and trying to, just deal with life. Dr. Jerica, when you hear the phrase survival habits, what does that really mean to you? How can someone recognize when they're surviving instead of healing?
Girl, you just I only said I had 1 cup of coffee now. That's not the big questions. You kind of got to warm up first now. But I think when we talk about survival habits, we're often talking about strategies that folks have developed to make it through, right? Difficult and overwhelming and even unsafe experiences. So those habits of survival served a purpose to protect us. And whether it was emotional, mental, or even physical, those have been ways that we've adapted to move through situations. So things like shutting down emotionally, staying overly busy, people pleasing, avoiding conflict, always being on guard, being on edge, or struggling to rest. Because I think I had heard uh, some talk about rest before I joined the meeting, right? But all those things can be survival responses, and the important thing to remember is that survival habits, they're not character flaws, right? These are not things that we should um, have shame, have a relationship with shame. They're often, as I said, adaptive responses to stress, trauma, even grief or instability, or even really chronic experiences with overwhelm. So the challenge is that once helped us to survive, may eventually begin to limit our ability to fully connect and be present and rest or even heal.
Mm.
That
That's
is
a lot of
true.
work.
That is
Yeah.
true. The guilt to rest, that's a survival
Mm-hmm.
habit. Feeling guilty
Mm-hmm.
about resting, we feel like we always have to be in go mode.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah,
the
we
crazy
got to be
part.
productive, right? I remember it was a book. Shoot, I should have got it out, but it's by the Nat Bishop. I think it's called Rest is Resistance.
Mm.
And I remember one of the things that really stood out to me when I read that book is she reflected on the notion that she never knew a woman who had a relationship with rest. She always had this relationship with individuals who were go, 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 who were wonderful providers and people who showed up for her. And yet she noticed that she did not have a model that reflected rest or taking breaks. And that really transformed her practice. And she began to do like nap retreats and all kinds of things to really challenge that idea of being on all the time.
You know what? I think that's an amazing idea. Did you see how she put emphasis on the nap retreat?
Retreat.
Shout out to
Hey,
the QIPs. I think we should
Nap
do it
retreat.
right here in Mexico. We do a nap retreat as a part of that.
come on.
Dr. Jerica can lead it.
Hey,
Okay.
I will plug in, tap in, and rest. Come on.
Yes, a nap retreat. I need one of those right now.
Hey, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I love that you brought that up because I think sometimes we don't even realize that we're doing these things. Like the numbness kicks in and we're just
Mm-hmm.
going through the motions, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I guess I would just ask, with the people pleasing, with the emotional shutdown, the burnout, you know, what we were just talking about, how do you recognize that? How can people recognize that they're in these modes and how can they kind of combat that? You kind of mentioned a little bit where, you have the nap retreats and things, but
Mm-hmm.
just for some of the other things like the hyper independence, how can you recognize that that's what you're doing to yourself? And what are some things that you can do to kind of slowly bring yourself out of it? Because sometimes if we lean too far right,
Mm-hmm.
all right, we lean too far to the right, and then that's when that guilt sets in, or
Mm-hmm.
we completely topple our lives. So just wondering what kind of strategies or what do you think for something like this?
Yeah. Great question. And I believe one of the first things that it starts with the language that we accept and we send ourselves. I
Mhm.
think oftentimes we have this idea of good and bad, right? And I think that only just reinforces that guilt and shame. And so it could be that we frame things as, effective versus unhelpful.
Mm-hmm.
So you spoke about, being the strong one and wearing that cape, right? We as women, as men, especially in this society, we're taught to look dependable on the outside while internally, honey, carrying exhaustion, grief, and overwhelm. And so People pleasing can be one of those survival strategies. And many individuals learn that keeping others happy help maintain peace, while all the while, creating this experience of internal conflict in themselves. So over time, this can create disconnection from our own boundaries, our needs, and our own identity. So in addition to, effective versus unhelpful, is this awareness. Am I overcommitted? Do I have a strategy or some sense, a calendar or organization system before maybe I overcommit myself? Or, do I have this ability to pause before I say yes and commit? So, and emotionally shutting down is another sign that we often overlook, because we say rest is proactive, right? And we don't want to crash. Some people become so accustomed to surviving stress and trauma, and disappointment and numbness starts to creep in. So folks may struggle to identify emotions and express vulnerability, because we're supposed to be vulnerable. No, nobody's supposed to see that. Honey, no.
I'm allergic.
Vulnerable. No, we don't do that. And so those things can also lead to this experience of burnout, especially chronic burnout, which is so normalized. And so I think that healing really begins when we start asking not just what's wrong with me, but what happened to me and what did I need to survive at that time, because that shift is what creates room for us to be able to move forward and make adjustments in places that are more restorative for us, and handle and support ourselves with more compassion instead of shame.
Yes. I definitely agree with you on that one, sis, because a lot of times we can be our own detriment, our thoughts and the way we think about things, or the things that we say to ourselves. So that is definitely something we have to be mindful of. And I think we definitely talk about it here on Tips and Tea, but something that's just not talked about, widely is, financial survival mode. I think a lot of people are actually, experiencing that now with the way things are. And what advice would you have to give someone that's having like emotional trauma with money?
Oh my, that's a whole thing that I think we don't really take into consideration as much as other things, right? Because money seems to be this exchange, and yet we don't recognize the emotional implications or tethers that are attached to it. So, financial habits often deeply connected in emotional experiences, stress, and often instability, right? For some people, avoiding finances altogether can be a survival response. Opening bills, we don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I saw on Gmail that AP wants something from me, and I don't appreciate it. Looking at debt may trigger some anxiety or shame, fear, or experiences with overwhelm. So if money has historically been connected to instability, conflict, or even scarcity, that could lead to survival stress. So avoidance becomes a way to temporarily protect the nervous system, because the thing is, we all have a nervous system. We might forget, and then we have these physical experiences, right, that lead us to maybe operating in a way that may not be as restorative to us, right? So a scarcity mindset is another common experience. When someone has lived through financial hardship, unpredictability, they want to create that predictability as much as possible. And that can be in ways that may not, it may create a state of, maybe there's not enough, even when circumstances tend to improve. So there may still be fear around spending and emotional spending, honey. Me and Sheen, we gotta break up. But I don't need not one more hoodie, but here I am. But sometimes purchases, they can become a way to soothe stress and regain a sense of control. And it creates temporary comfort, right? To fill some emotional gaps. However, it's important that we approach the pattern with compassion instead of judgment. There's nothing more telling than going through that bank app and seeing where that money goes, right?
Yeah.
That little personal audit. So financial anxiety, one way that we catch it, again, is to be aware of it, to take an audit, to make sure that there's some kind of self-accountability so we can pivot, we can make adjustments. So that can lead us to a different position in terms of healing and recognizing that, habits are not just about discipline or intelligence, but, we've got to let some air to some of those thoughts and patterns to build some healthier and even more sustainable relationships with money.
Yeah, that's true. I like that. You got to change your mindset. And I like
Oh,
what you were saying about, you got to get out of the scarcity mindset. I kind of like what we're doing now as a society, because I see more and more, especially younger women, and they're like, forget this independent thing. I want to move into my soft girl era.
Hey,
right? I'm moving into my wealthy
Cancun
woman era, right? My wealthy woman era. So like they're changing the narrative and getting out of that scarcity mindset. And what you said too about, you have money troubles and you're avoiding it. But to combat that, is realizing that this is temporary, right? This doesn't have to last forever. You're choosing to make it last forever because you can literally do things to change that. Right? We can cut things. We can try to add extra income. The best thing I probably did for myself was delete TikTok for a while because I was lighting it up on TikTok shop.
Hey.
We've all done it. Yeah. I mean, I have definitely been an emotional spender. Have a bad day or something just not going right, and I need to make myself feel good. So I've done it before. I think we've all done it.
We all have. And I tell my husband all the time, I'm like, I don't know how these people got my number. Like these people, they let me know all the time that they got candles on sale because they care about me and they want my house to smell good, right? I mean, should I unsubscribe? Maybe, but do I also need a $7 candle? Okay, I don't. But it's like even adjusting kind of that algorithm, right? I heard you say, "Hey, I deleted TikTok because I knew that it was taking up some time and was making me a little bit more apt to making purchases that maybe aren't what I want to do, not what I want to focus on." So sometimes it's like changing what we have access to so that we won't, go in a direction that's not helpful for us.
Absolutely. Because hi, my name is Shantella Shabazz, and I'm addicted to gadgets, and TikTok is definitely a problem for me.
Yeah, TikTok shop is definitely the gadget spot. They got everything.
Earbuds, eyeglasses, they do the record and take pictures.
Stuff you ain't even know you needed. I do need
it. The stuff you don't need, but it would just be so convenient to have. It's the convenience.
You said it. It's the convenience.
It is. You gotta realize what the problem is and realize we have a choice in the matter. We don't have to do it. Just say no. Just say no. Go back to elementary school. I don't know. Did you all have it where you were in elementary school and they used to bring in like the DARE program with the drug sniffing dog?
Oh yeah. Just say no.
Just say no.
Just say no. And I think pausing. Just have a pause. I've read, that a strategy with, some of these interactions with purchases. I mean, we could probably wait 24 hours to make a purchase. But however, we see deal, all these things. But sometimes it's a pause before we commit to something, a pause before we have a purchase, just so we can have a moment of reflection to consider, is this something that I really need?
Yes, ma'am. Is
this unsubscribe, everybody. Unsubscribe to them text messages and them emails. hit the unsubscribe button. It's on there. You just gotta press it.
I ain't seen it before, but okay.
Yeah, it's definitely there. It's definitely
Oh,
there.
fine.
I know.
Dr. J, so let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Especially for women, because we do have a lot of ladies in the chat, and I think the majority of our audience is women.
Mm-hmm.
Many of us wear that cape, right, where we're carrying everybody. And you touched on this a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Now, how do we set up boundaries to help support that healing, support us from the people pleasing, from feeling like we have to carry everything?
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's hard. It's hard because, a boundary means that I'm holding something based on my values and based on my capacity, right? So boundaries are important because they help us move from survival more towards sustainability.
Mhm.
And a boundary is not about pushing people away or becoming selfish. And I think that's what's implied. It's about creating safety for rest and honesty and self-respect. So boundaries communicate that I matter too. Without boundaries, many women end up chronically overextended, right? The emotional labor that goes into all the things with to-do list and making sure that the kids got their socks that they forgot. And, like all those tasks add up and create these open tabs in our minds that don't close. So pouring into others while neglecting our own needs and emotions and health, oh my gosh, over time, it can lead to resentment and burnout and exhaustion and ultimately disconnecting from yourself. So boundaries support healing because they help us regulate our nervous system. And even in that moment when we're setting a boundary, it can make us feel so uncomfortable because it can be unfamiliar to us, right? So to reduce overwhelm, creating emotional clarity allows people to engage in relationships from a place of choice instead of obligation. So I often tell folks boundaries are not walls to keep people out, but they're bridges to help build healthier, more honest, and sustainable relationships with ourselves and others. Being overcommitted, being overextended will only continue that pattern of, living in survival mode. And sometimes survival mode can be comfortable because it's what's familiar to us. So breaking that, it takes intentional effort.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
That word intention has been coming up a lot on live over the last few months. Intention.
It sure has. But I mean, I definitely like what you said. And, sometimes as a woman, when you're trying to heal and you're trying to set these boundaries in place, it's going to be normal to feel guilty about it. But you do have to realize that you're worth it. You do need
Mm-hmm.
your rest. You do require those boundaries. And setting
Mm-hmm.
those boundaries for yourself, it's not to hurt anybody, but it's to help you.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know?
You said it. It's not to hurt anyone. It's literally to help us to maintain and continue so that we have the resources to do the things that we want to do.
I have an extra question kind of to throw into this because, it's like, okay, you start setting your boundaries, but now people are reacting
Oh, yeah.
to the boundaries that you are not setting. And now, sometimes I think we get upset about how they're responding to us finally setting these boundaries. And then we want to cut everybody off. We want to go wick whack.
Cut them off.
What is, because sometimes I think we feel like we need to step away from people to do that. What's your opinion on that? And I know everyone is different. Everyone's situation is not the same, but is there maybe for us to allow grace in there to give people time to adjust to these new boundaries that we're setting? Like, what kind of steps would you kind of guide someone in taking when they're setting these boundaries and then now accepting the responses that they're getting from setting those boundaries?
Oh, yeah. Like the fallout. There's going to be consequences for everything that we do, whether it's something restorative or whether it's something unhelpful. And when we're in this place where we're working to create our boundaries, it can ruffle some feathers, right? Because it means that people might have to depend on you or interact with you differently. And that's not something that they're familiar with, right? So I think it can be this grace period, right? And yet we also observe if it appears that there's manipulation that's attached or flaring up, that would make us feel that we have to do something that's not good for us. That's a point of evaluation of that relationship. So if somebody, is on the receiving end of a boundary, they'll understand it or they won't. And yet we still have to maintain capacity to do what we need to do to protect ourselves. So it can sound like, oh my gosh, that's a selfish thing to do. And yet if I run myself ragged, I'm not going to be good to anyone, including myself, because there is a correlation with, high impacts or high amounts of stress and what it can do to your body, right? Every yes might lead to, an experience of cortisol, right, rising in your body. And then high blood pressure, overwhelm, anxiety attacks, right? All those things that sometimes we don't see, they also have a consequence. So being vulnerable, stepping into that place of power to create and refine your boundaries is something that we have to do, and we can expect sometimes pushback because we're not meeting everybody's needs. We're, in a place where we're looking at ourselves to see what can we reasonably do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could definitely imagine, definitely want to get pushback with that, setting your boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Chantel, what were you going to say, Queen?
I was just going to do an audience check-in is remind everyone, if you have any questions for Dr. J, Dr. Jerica, please feel free to drop them in the chat here. We'd love to be able to assist in any way we can with some answers to your questions. Let me see. I thought I saw something pop across the screen here. Blessed Risings, Queen.
Blessed Risings, Shamir.
She says, I'm worth it. All right, Michelle. Yes, Queen, you are worth it.
I know that's right, Queen. Yes, you are.
Yeah, you're worth the work. You're worth, the internal investment. I know we're talking about finances, and yet it says something when we invest in ourselves as well.
Right. That is so true.
Yeah, I mean, to the audience too, what survival habits are you all trying to unlearn? Is it people pleasing? Is it overspending? Are you trying to get out of your avoidance area? Is it burnout, anxiety, hyper independence? What is something that you're working on and you still trying to come out of this year? And it's okay. I'm a reformed people pleaser that's continuing to do the work. It's still possible to head back in there, but I'm learning. I'm still learning.
Yeah, you're constantly growing and evolving.
Yeah. I know it's always been hard for me to say no. It was just something hard. I just never wanted to say no, but sometimes we do have to say no. We do have to learn, our limits and like you said, setting boundaries for ourselves. So in providing a space for us to rest, to reset, and not trying to overextend yourself. What is one thing that you would say, or one way for someone to actually know that they are healing? Because a lot of times we think if someone is healed, that they're perfect, or they've gotten to a place that there's no setbacks or no issues, that you're here now and you're not going anywhere. There's no slipping, no sliding. Like what would you say to that? Like how can someone tell if they're healing?
Gotcha.
Without being perfect, because someone may actually be in the process of healing but just may not notice that they've met this milestone, or this is behind them because they're thinking that they have to be perfect.
Oh yeah, that's such a thing. Healing, it's not like this linear process. And I think one of the biggest misconceptions about healing is that it means being perfectly happy, never getting triggered again, never, having them little TikTok shop notifications or any of those, or having everything figured out. Because the reality is we've never lived a day like today, but healing is usually much quieter and more gradual than that. It often looks less like perfection and more like increased awareness, compassion, and even regulation. So, some signs that healing is on the horizon is you pause before reacting. Um, because sometimes if we have an emotional response rather than a more present awareness, we can overcommit because of emotions, right? We can immediately go into survival mode. And so another way too is when you begin your needs, recognize that your needs and emotions and your limits more clearly, like having just an awareness of those things. Emotions, feelings are all signals. And sometimes we don't really pause to reflect on what those signals mean to us, what they're trying to tell us, how they're trying to slow us down. Um, and I think one of the most notable for some, and this might really be for me, is we don't apologize for things that do not require an apology.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That one right there.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my favorite responses now, when I feel like I'm going to overcommit, and I think if you lean into your values, it makes it a little less overwhelming. But honey, my heart wants to, and yet I know I wouldn't be able to.
Mhm.
I want to, and yet I don't have the capacity right now. Right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to lean into shame. We don't have to lean into guilt. We lean into, I recognize that if I did this, oh my gosh, it would cause me much more overwhelm, stress, and a lack of resources for myself.
Yes.
Mm,
Yes.
that's good.
That is
Yeah.
really good. Even understanding that, you don't have to always explain your no.
No, no.
Yeah.
No
Mm-hmm.
is
I'm
that's
the
a
explainer right here. I'm always trying to explain everything.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have to do that.
Mm-hmm. We have to
Do we
be
have any
honest.
explainers in the audience?
Uh-oh.
yes.
Uh-oh.
I've been practicing that. I'm like, no. And that's it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Because
it's true.
those who really know you, they gonna understand, right? You
Mm-hmm.
don't have to explain everything. They know your heart. They know how you show up for them in different areas of their life. You
Right?
know, if people get
Mm-hmm.
offended by a no, then that's more of a them problem and not a you problem.
Come on, say it. Say it. It's true. And it seems counter, I guess, to what society would make us believe. Right. And so it's, I guess, another way to, when we allow ourselves to be in a position to receive instead of carrying everything, that's another sign when we accept support, right? When we
Mhm.
step away from this idea that we have to do it all, that we have to do all things.
Mm,
Well, that's how we were raised, though. A lot of us was raised that way, where we were
Oh,
taught that's what we were supposed to do. That was
yeah.
our role in society, especially as
Hmm.
women.
Oh my.
yes.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. Yep. We
Mm.
nurture everyone else except for ourselves.
Well, Jerica, let me also ask you this because I think a lot of us have either experienced some type of grief, whether we lost a loved one, or even grieving ourselves. The version of
Hmm.
ourselves we thought we were going to be, because that's
Hmm.
a as well, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
how does grief and trauma and life experience shape, the coping habits, that we carry into our lives? I think we as a society, as a community, we don't realize how these things are shaping us. And
Yeah.
again, these are, traumas that we're carrying on, and
Hmm.
it's manifesting into daily habits. So how do you kind of break that down? How does that show up in our output?
Yeah, and that's a big one, because it causes for reflection, right? As children, as adolescents, we often adapt in ways that help us to feel safe, right? We don't want to ruffle any feathers. We want to be accepted or be emotionally protected. And so some people learn to stay quiet to avoid conflict, um, and or become hyper independent. So grief can shape coping habits too. When loss is not fully processed or supported, people may begin avoiding emotions, and that's not as helpful. Disconnecting from vulnerability, staying constantly busy, or struggling, you know, can really rob us of stability and joy. So trauma, it also impacts that our nervous system as well, can teach the body and our mind to stay on alert and to anticipate danger, or even to prepare for rejection, disappointment, or abandonment. So I think it's really important for folks to understand that many coping habits are adaptive, not random. It's likely something that we've witnessed. It's something that, um, sometimes we just grow into in that way. So the goal is not to shame ourselves for the ways that we learn to survive. It's to challenge them and to gently examine, what patterns we want to continue and what patterns no longer serve us, right?
Mhm.
Because the reality is, until we recognize that there's something that we might need to look at or discontinue, that pattern will still continue. Um, so I tend to think of like our nervous system like as a phone. I'm on my phone right now, so I can't like show it. So we were going to use this lotion, right? So here's my phone. I constantly charge it all the time, honey. I update it. I will get a new phone case and all the things. But I know that if I'm on it too much, it's going to probably overheat, right?
Mhm.
It's going to start to glitch. So just like ourselves, we've got to be really aware of how we're showing up for ourselves, how we're nurturing ourselves. We wouldn't shame our phone for not having an update or not knowing, what it should know, at the moment. So it's like, how can we extend some grace and compassion to ourselves in different ways? Because when it comes to finances and things that have been passed down from generation to generation, and it could almost seem like it's disingenuous, or it we are implying some kind of stigma or conflict or shame to people that we love and that we've been closely connected to. The reality is that we just want to do something different that serves us better, or that's more helpful and more restorative to us. And until we have awareness and acknowledge, what some of those patterns are, they'll continue.
Mm-mm-mm.
A lot of words. I'm sorry. I just be talking.
Oh
No.
no, I mean, what you said, I like the analogy and the breakdown of the phone, talking
Mm-hmm.
about, it glitching out.
Listen.
Because we we need to give ourselves grace, and we need to realize, if we don't rest, if we don't take care of ourselves, if we don't do the things that we need to do for ourselves, we are going to glitch.
Mm-hmm.
You're
If
not going
we,
to be able to give 100% or give your best self if you've got all this going on. So we
mm-hmm.
definitely have to heal. Like you said, acknowledge things, and or learn a better coping skill, or learning what serves us best.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then it becomes a never ending cycle, right? When you're people pleasing, sometimes it feels like now you're taking on all these burdens of everybody else. And then
Mm-hmm.
now you're not taking care of yourself because you're pulling on everyone else's things. You're taking on
Mhm.
everyone else's burdens. But now, because you're not taking care of yourself, now your health starts failing. Now
Mm.
you can't do certain things. Now you're financially struggling because you're trying to cover everyone else. So now what happens to you? Now you become the burden.
Mhm.
Right.
Becoming the
Mhm.
exact thing that we were struggling to carry from everyone else. So yeah, we gotta address that. We gotta try to break that cycle.
Break the
Everybody.
cycle. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna do a little blend of both of y'all because you was talking about the soft girl era. I think it's time for us to stop doing the strong woman era and do the
Oh,
soft girl era. We need a little help, you know. Can't do
mhm.
it all by yourself. I mean,
Mhm.
we are some strong, independent women, but we need a little help too, you know.
Absolutely. And we can borrow from that strong side of us and lean into the soft era. Like they don't have to totally be erased. It can be this it can be a process. It can
Mm,
be a process.
wow.
Well, we got to talking again, ladies, and we almost at the top of the hour.
We
Uh-oh.
sure are, Lord.
I'm sorry. I be talking.
Oh
All
no,
right.
this was a good topic. I mean, and I think our audience has enjoyed it as well.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. We got some. Carmen just mentioned. She said, "Don't apologize for the things that don't require an apology." She said she loves this.
Mhm. Take it out.
yeah.
I need to make a sign in my office because folks will always come in and like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm saying, we don't need no apologies. It's all right. It's okay. It's all right. Say the thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I used to
We
be like,
got
I'm sorry, Queen. I'm sorry I can't this. I'm sorry I did this. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah. We're gonna have to fix that vocabulary.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think the audience is definitely loving the topic. Roselle just said this is very helpful. So thank you, Jerica, for, again, just coming in and dropping so many gems. Please drop some gems in the chat for Dr. J, Dr. Jerica, please. Just for her
Yes.
coming in and sharing so much insight into the things that we've been holding on to, how to unlearn some
Hmm.
of this trauma and this grief that we've been carrying. Because how can we address the things that we're doing with avoidance, the overspending,
Hmm.
the dependence, if we're not addressing the root of it, right? Where
Right.
did it
Yes,
stem from?
ma'am.
It
Yes,
didn't
ma'am.
appear out of nowhere. This is not the
Hmm.
magic school bus show, things that
Hey,
just magically happen.
Magic school bus.
Hey, I learned a lot from magic school bus. I did.
hey, correct.
Never wrong.
Well, see, is there one last question we can sneak in before we jump into
Um, let's see here. I guess I would say the feeling guilty about resting. Um, and like just maybe feeling guilty about taking time for yourself. What
Hmm.
do you say for to someone that just feels guilty about resting or not being able to do so many things? People
Yeah.
please.
People pleasing and just being constantly on is a thing. I would be not truthful if I said that this is something that I haven't struggled with, right? So for many people, i.e., me, productivity becomes more than something that they do. It becomes tied to our identity and our worth and safety. So as we've shared, we live in a culture that praises overworking and overextending. And
Mm,
sometimes these connections they develop very early. So struggle can be normalized, and it can feel uncomfortable. So I think there are cultural and generational layers to
mhm,
this piece. And many communities have survived through resilience and sacrifice and hard work, and slowing down is unfamiliar. So, what I might share is get in contact, get reacquainted with that little you. When we were kids, mommy, see, go outside and play. Go do something. And now, when do we have those moments? Because that was rest. Go outside and ride your back. That was rest, right? So my challenge would be to do one of those things that's not attached to productivity, but it's just a restorative practice. Sit, wash dishes. Now, see, that is one for me. Like when I wash dishes, like I'll listen to music, you know what I mean? But like whatever it is to adjust your relationship with rest, just integrating those micro moments throughout your week so you can kind of adjust that algorithm and give yourself permission to rest. It doesn't always have to be an hour. Folks think, with self-care and rest that it has to be these big, long, drawn out things, but it's more about the frequency of the act than the duration of the act. So give yourself permission to do one or two things this week that invite that in for you.
Gotcha. Yes, ma'am. I will. I will give myself permission to take me a 15-minute nap.
Hey, come on, power nap.
Right.
Well,
Yes.
just go step outside and get some sun because we've been inside all winter and
Come on.
we're extremely vitamin D deficient at this point. So go step outside.
Step outside.
Last week, my tip was you dehydrated. Go drink some water. This week, go outside and step into the sun, everybody.
Hey,
Get you
do
some
it.
sunlight.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, well, Dr. Jerica, I just want to say thank you again, Queen, for, just coming on and just being transparent. You had so much wisdom that you shared with our community and with, the live audience. So we definitely appreciate each and everything that you commented on and gave us tips on because, we all about the tips here at Tips and Tea.
Yes, ma'am.
I feel like you definitely create a safe space for people to come in and just share and then just be able to reflect.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So real with just the things, talking about. She told me everybody to delete TikTok shop.
I need to delete my little apps.
I'm gonna delete you.
Take a little break, and gadget fatigue. That's what I'm gonna call it.
Gadget fatigue. Yep. 24-hour pause. See if it's really a need, right? But I always appreciate the opportunity to come on and to share with you all and just be connected. I appreciate all that you do and how you pour into the community. I know this is a big investment of you all's time. So thank you so much for what you all do and how you do it.
Oh, thank you, Queen. Thank you so much. These days, I'm gonna get it down. Here we go.
Hey,
I got it.
You got it. You got that's
there. It is. There it is.
Let's go.
We better stop. My auntie's gonna think we throw over game size. Auntie, this is supposed to be a heart.
It's a heart.
Heart. Yeah.
Oh my.
So what was that thing that you was doing on the live the other morning? I was trying to make a heart, but sometimes my fingers don't work right. But we gonna get it. We gonna get it.
That's gonna be one of your rest practices, man. Engage in the heart.
Practice the heart.
There we go. I'll take that. Well, Steve, do we want to close out with an affirmation before we jump off?
Of course. We got the affirmations. Let's see here. All right. So are you guys ready for the closing affirmation? Here we go. I release survival mode. I choose healing. Oh, I'm sorry, Queen. You go ahead.
I choose healing. I was going to repeat after you.
Yes, ma'am. I deserve peace, joy, balance, and wellness.
Peace, balance, joy, and wellness.
I am worthy of rest.
I am worthy of
growth.
Growth.
I am worthy of thriving, not just surviving.
And I am worthy of thriving and not just surviving. Hello.
Oh, yes. And everybody, we definitely appreciate you tuning in for another episode of Tips and Tea Live. Shantella, did you have anything else you wanted to say before we close out, Queen?
Just thank you again to Dr. Jerica for coming on. I think we need a part two to this
We might
conversation.
have to have a part two because this was a good conversation.
Hey, you have your people call mine.
We got this. We got
See y'all.
And if you want to reach Dr. Jerica, maybe you want some, to be able to get some counseling and connect with her, we'll get Dr. Jerica's information. So you can reach out to Satitra and I directly, and we'll make sure that you are able to connect with her. But thank you again, everybody, for jumping on the live. Please remember to like and share if you got some value today from this live, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Tips and Tea Live over at YouTube.
All right, everybody, have a blessed Tuesday and have a blessed rest of your week.
Many blessings, everybody.